Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Energy Unleashed with Suzanne and Kim. Hey girl, how are ya?
Doing good. Good, good.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking earlier today too that I don't know how good everybody is right now. It's a really weird energy time, isn't it?
It just feels like everything's kind of stagnant. Like it's so strange. I don't
I
know how to explain
I
it.
think I feel like I say it's a weird energy time every time we're online, which
We
is
do.
like getting really
Yeah.
old, but it is very odd. I was telling a client the other day, it's a flat,
Yeah.
which we're not used to, you know? It's just a flat.
Yeah. Like even my meditations are kind of are flat and my emotions are kind of flat. Like it's just really, I don't know, it's different right now.
So within the, and take what resonates always on these guys, but within the last week, I myself, because it's been flat, I was sitting with that and I'm thinking maybe that means that it's time to just kind of like reinvent. I mean, really just like, and we kind of talk about this on and off, reinvent yourself, what do you want to do different? Because I think flat is so boring for humans and we don't like that. We don't like to be bored. So we sometimes wait for everything else to, energize us or change or come in and rev it up for us. And I just sat with that the other day and thought, well, maybe it's me that's supposed to do that. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we'll
It
mix
was
this
kind
up
of
a
the
little.
message of March. It was like it's going to be different
Hmm.
for March energetically, but that it's setting up for new, like it's setting up for different. I think coming in April, May, June. So
And
I'll be
we just
excited.
went through new. We went through new moon. We went through eclipse. We went through equinox. I mean, again, boom, boom, boom. These new moons and these equinoxes and everything are just piling on top of each other. And I always think too that that's an opportunity for new, right? Starting over, death and rebirth, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it still feels like it's different. And I don't have this impending doom like, oh, something's coming, but
No, no,
you
it
kind of
feels really quiet. Like just
almost too
I
quiet.
know. And then I'm like, is it the calm before the storm? No, Kim,
Ooh,
quit thinking that way.
yeah.
No, no,
I
no.
love it though. I'm in. I was always in for a good storm. All
Well,
right.
here we are.
Speaking of death and rebirth, I want to let you know I have had two, if not three, clients just within the last couple of weeks that are pregnant and
Ooh,
which is always great, right?
yeah.
And we're also in a family that's adding babies and grandbabies, and so it's always so exciting. And yet, it's interesting because these clients are the ones that the three women that I was working with are in their basically first trimester or getting into their second, and a lot of them are having really a lot of sickness. Were you sick when you were pregnant with yours?
Yeah, with my first, yeah, I definitely in the first trimester
Okay.
some issues. One, loved, could not get enough avocados. Like I would make avocado everything. And like I must have been missing whatever the fat or
That's
the,
funny.
whatever the vitamins are for.
Yeah.
And then I got so sick, I still to this day cannot eat avocados.
Oh,
I'm,
seriously? I don't notice that about you with how well I know you. That's weird.
oh
Wow.
God, no. I try it and I'm like,
Oh,
nope.
that's interesting. Gave
Mhm.
it all to the child instead.
Yeah.
Mine was green apples, which was wonderful because it was like, how
Oh,
healthy can you get, with the first
yeah.
one. I didn't have huge cravings, but I mostly was sleepy, sleepy, sleepy. Like I would be talking to somebody like that. And I was a little pukey in the evenings, but these particular women are really like seriously having trouble. And I wonder. I think it's a couple things, and of course, I'm just throwing it out there. I think because the energies are so volatile right now and so crazy, and our bodies are already changing, our bodies are changing to, catch up with the frequencies of the Schumann, and they're like, oh my God, we're getting pummeled with solar flares. And the human meat and bone situation is already going through such transformation. Can you imagine having baby or babies
Oh
inside
gosh.
of you? These women are just like so like transforming all at the same time and still trying to be a human body and a vessel. And it's a lot and very, very very sick. This one gal I've worked with for a really long time, and she is actually even an energy worker. And she is like, she pulled back. She's like, I have no business working on anybody because I can't even hold my own field.
Oh,
And, I do that when I have no right to work on people when I'm not up to speed either. So, I took a week off or so just recently also. I'm in the midst of one where I'm resetting and rebalancing because we can't do that for a client base. But that's how bad it was for this gal, and that she's like, what the hell? I think the babies or the souls, I should say, coming in that are choosing to inhabit this baby situation is also different. And, I did a post I don't know how long ago, on our grandchild, our granddaughter Ramona, that had all the issues and troubles in September. And that's another post we did quite some time ago. But she was so far out that I had a 3-hour ritual to help align that because of the timing was off. A lot of these kids are are out so far and that they're like really determining their timing of when they come in.
oh, isn't that interesting? So, like,
Yeah, and
from a contract of choosing the parent, they're actually still trying to figure out when they're going to actually be delivered, or,
some of the
or where they're
couple
going
of
to.
them, yeah, that's what I get when I tap in. It's like I'm gonna really, really be careful of my timing. That was Ramona's case, by the way, because she was 4 days fully off because they were trying to take her C-section early, but she was coming in on the eclipse and the moon and the full new moon, and it was like these are really important astrological entryways, gateways for them to come in that will set them up with their astrological chart while they're here on planet, right? And so a lot of this stuff is because the babies aren't fully aligned. That doesn't mean they're not coming in. It doesn't mean that something's wrong. It just is a disconnect. And that's even harder, I think, on the human body. Because I think back in the day, that soul was dropping in a lot quicker. Now it's doing a lot more work out here in the ethers and in the multiverses, and it will be aligned. It's just doing different stuff. So there's almost like, I don't want to say it's a disconnect, but it is kind of from
Oh,
the mother.
I didn't think about that because, yeah, if they were souls used to go in sooner, and some probably still do,
Yeah,
depending
I
on what
think they do.
they're meant to do. But yeah, whatever that work is, or whatever they're trying to figure out, that's like, and it all has to do with the astronomy,
Yeah, and their astrology.
astrology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
astronomy too, though. But I mean, we're having some really big stuff happen out there in the multiverses, and these babies are multi-dimensional babies. We all are, but I mean, I think that they're much more aware of it, and they're doing so much bigger work in human bodies. And so I think it's just a different way of dropping in. The one client I want to talk a little bit about, because we had quite a conversation in that she wasn't feeling well, because she was so sick, she's not feeling all lovey and wonderful that I'm pregnant. Ooh, I'm pregnant. And that's really hard. If you're that sick, you don't want to attach to that pregnancy either because you have that stupid narrative in the back of your head that maybe something isn't right, and maybe I don't want to, connect with this. And I was doing my best to encourage, don't do that because trust that that soul knows what it's doing, right? I mean, we don't want to have that negativity out there as well as a scary narrative in the back of our head. But I get that. And then I was sharing with this particular gal when I was pregnant, I oftentimes didn't have that gushy, wonderful. I had great pregnancies. I mean, because of the way that I'm built, I carried them great. I had no problems, blah, blah. But I oftentimes had a disconnect. I just didn't have this gushy hallmark thing of, "Ah, I'm pregnant. A lot of times I'm like, there's this really weird alien feeling inside of me, like something's growing and taking over my body, and I got nothing to say about it. I mean, I had really weird thought patterns like that.
Well,
And I
yeah.
don't think I'm the only one.
Right. And especially the situation, like if you're not planning on getting pregnant, for me, it took me a while to connect because
Yep.
life plan wasn't this right away, and
Yeah.
and then I had to figure out so many things around that were really hard. And
Yep.
so it's interesting, that connection, with the baby. And
And the body. I think that's what I'm even bringing up
uh,
more. So in this particular one is a
uh,
lot of us are having trouble. I had trouble connecting with my body. I always did anyway, because of my galactic self. I just never loved this thing. And then I had this thing and another thing. And I'm like, and I'm supposed to connect to both of those things. It was very difficult for me. So
yeah.
I didn't trust my body a whole lot. And I still, in so many cases with things that have happened to me, do a lot of work to connect with this human existence here. And so I'm encouraging if anybody listens to this that is pregnant, don't think that you're some kind of monster if you're not all gushy Hallmark about, oh, I'm having a baby and I'm so connected, you know? And then I have other clients that are like, oh my gosh, are you kidding? I heard that soul in dream space before it even came in, and I knew this baby the second it was in, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's across the board. I don't think there's a normal anymore.
Mm-mm.
I don't think there was ever a normal, but I certainly don't think there's a normal now.
Well, socially there was a normal, like
Yeah,
yeah, like they told you what it was supposed to be like, but and I think it's more, I mean, for some pregnancies, like if you go down some of those social rabbit holes of, oh, if you're this sick, it means this, and you need
yeah,
this, and it's like you could really get wrapped up in your head around
yes,
a lot of what people are saying or what their experiences were. Where on the other side of it, I think it's hard, especially if you're that sick, to get into that better vibration of manifesting what you want this to be.
right.
You don't think that way. All you're worried about is the next time I stand up, I'm going to throw everything up that I just
Yeah,
ate, you know?
yep, yep.
It's
Yeah. And
yeah.
and it's really hard to sit there and think I'm not taking care of my body when I'm bringing body or bodies into this as well, you know? I mean, all of these women that I was talking to were really scared about that. If I'm not well, all of these bodies were thinking I'm bringing a body in here and I don't know what I'm doing, this is not good. And so then that's more guilt and that's more shame. And so it was super interesting on the one of them I was working with, and it was really this is the other thing that's been happening in these pregnancies. I'm seeing so much of this lineage line. Like I was scanning this particular gal, and she has a lot of trouble with the lineage line, and especially it was on her female side, of course, and her mother's side. And I went back like I don't know how many generations, and I was doing, lineage cutting and this and that and the other thing. And she was having so much trouble in her neck area, and I said that's because the shame thing holds the head like this. Now, not only is she pregnant and she's sick and she doesn't feel good and she's not working, but she's also having lineage clearing because we are choosing to bring in these children. And this particular one knows it's a girl already, which I thought was adorable too. So she's like, I'm definitely clearing this on behalf of myself and my mother,
Yeah.
and my grandmother. So she was aware because she does this work, and she was aware that she was clearing a lot of lineage. So that's a lot of work that these bodies are doing,
Well,
you
you're
know.
pregnant. I mean, because I did a lot of work around the lineage baby death
Yeah.
stuff and that was a lot of time and super emotional and very
Yep.
um just crazy. To do that while you're pregnant and sick and not feeling good.
Well, I wonder what I'm saying, Kim. I wonder if this is a factor in the sick because they're already doing so much emotional stuff by being
Um,
pregnant, and your hormones are going bonkers. But if you're doing lineage clearing, you know how that felt when you were doing it. Just
oh,
think
yeah,
if you were confused that you were pregnant at the same time, you might be not even aware that this is part of the healing.
right, right.
Yeah.
So if you're not aware, does the well, they're coming to
So,
you, so the healing is still happening,
oh, definitely.
even subconsciously for them. Like some of it is probably not conscious.
Yeah. I mean, we heal in so many weird ways. I mean, even like our Peru, you've gone to Peru twice. I just got home from the Peru trip and we had our little gathering after, and people are still finding themselves going through these bouts of healing after 2 and 3 weeks. We
Mhm.
heal in really emotional ways. We heal because we're exhausted. We heal because we're emotional. We heal because we're angry. We heal in all of these emotional ways. And if you're healing lineage lines of, losing babies or whatever, or even just bringing in babies to more traumatic lifelines. None of these people that I was working on were clearing losing kids. That was your storyline, but theirs was more like the trauma of bringing whatever triggers down through the side of the mother. So
Okay.
if you're doing that kind of healing, and you're pregnant at the same time, you don't even know what's happening. Like, and again, I don't think you have to. I'm just saying I think we're so powerful right now and we're
Yeah.
doing so much work right now that I have a feeling more and more pregnancies are going to be doing more and more work.
Yeah. For somebody who is not pregnant right now, the Schumann resonance has been all over the board.
Yeah.
And I have found my energy ebbing and flowing with that a lot. Like, I'm just booking along and then all of a sudden I'm like crashing.
Boom.
So to add pregnancy to that with
Yep.
already the nauseousness and throwing up and all of the I can't imagine how hard that is on the body.
And nobody's on the nightly news saying, by the way, I mean, I would love to write into the networks and say, can you just do a Schumann report every night so people wouldn't, think that they're losing their marbles if they're so
Right.
fatigued? I mean, when those planets were all aligning recently, I couldn't even keep my head up. That I get my ass kicked on new moons and I couldn't even function. My body was hurting like crazy. And the next day I was perfectly back to not hurting. It's
Mhm.
crazy. And if you're doing a pregnancy at the same time and you are uninformed, I'm not saying you're ignorant, you're just uninformed about energy
Mhm.
and or are just automatically thinking this is all because I'm pregnant, it's going to really put a lot of extra stress and load on you, thinking this pregnancy might be, rocky, or this pregnancy might not be going well, or oh my God, is this all working the way it's supposed? It adds so much more layers of stress that maybe it doesn't have to be adding in.
Right.
But
Right.
gosh, what a really hard way to unravel that, right? I mean, talk about unleashing, unraveling, unwinding. That takes a lot of self-meditation and quiet time to go, I might be actually doing lineage healing. I mean, who even thinks of that unless you do this work?
Mhm.
But if you're bringing in a girl and you have trouble with your mother already, and your mother had trouble with her mother, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, I mean, you are like seriously clearing that vessel right now so that this being doesn't have that in their contract. That is a lot more than just, I'm just going through my day. So,
Right. It is. It is. That just, I didn't even think about doing that kind of work, while
yeah,
you're newly pregnant and going through the hardest part of the pregnancy. I mean,
right. So I've been monitoring it a little because, like I said, I've had three recently, and all three, and interestingly enough, there's a lot of baby girls coming into. Um, I'm hoping for a boy in the worthly realm here. We need to even it out a little bit, but yeah, I think it's interesting that a lot of girls are coming in because they are healing so much of the women suffrage line. They're healing so much of the women abuse line.
well, and
They're
that's right on the heels of the female energy change,
Yep,
right? So
yep.
is that part of that? It seems so logical.
I think it's really great because a lot of them are coming in with that slate cleared because many, many people have been doing that lineage female line clearing since the Mother God energies came in so strong, 4 or 5 years ago here. And the whole balance between male female is doing this now. And so I think a lot of these souls are choosing that female line as the choice to drop in as a female to go, no, we are changing and locking in this frequency completely different. Not to mention bringing in all the priestess energy and all of the, leadership energy from that soulful priestess, Lemurian, Atlantean. Well, Lemurian more than Atlantean because
Mhm.
Atlantean's more male, but all of the old trained women to bring that back into the frequencies of this planet. And I think that that's a lot of the reason why we're having a larger quotient of females born. It would be interesting to know statistics over the last, maybe
Yeah.
even year to the next 2 years to see the percentage of female versus male births. It would be interesting.
And I wonder if it's different across like regions, like just looking at the United States, if it's like the similar or if it's worldwide, or
I,
if
I
it's
get the
different than
feeling it
that.
would be worldwide just out of my, immediate response to that because we are opening up and securing so much ley line energy. And ley
Yeah.
line energy oftentimes again is dragon energy, which is female. And we're in that opening up portal stuff. Then there's going to be a swing because once those portals are activated and open, which are happening profoundly quick on our planet, it's going to be opening up all of that cosmic stuff and the other end of the astrology for the cosmic portal. And then I think it'll be back to male and that'll all shake out. But I think it's super interesting because remember, one of the laws of our universe is the law of gender.
Yeah.
And it's important for us to have both genders in terms of that male and female frequency. We all have it, but
Mhm.
that balance and that harmony. And then it's interesting how it comes out on choices for souls to come in. So yeah, it's just it was a lot. I'm thinking, God, this is some fascinating stuff over the last couple of weeks of pregnancy. Because man, when we had babies, you just had a kid,
Right. Seriously, we didn't even have all the cool stuff that they have now for taking care of a baby. Like,
right?
Geez.
And my daughter-in-law, she dreamt about, I remember when I went to my son's house one time, she thought she had a ghost. And she said, I feel this thing. I feel this thing around me all the time. This is her first baby, who's now 3. And she's like, I feel this thing all the time around me. And she was pretty early in her pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I'm scanning her house. I'm like, you don't have a ghost. And then I busted out laughing. And I said, oh my God, it's your soul of your baby that's watching you. And she said, that's so weird. She said, I had this thought the other night that that's what it was, but I thought that was insane. And I'm like, that's not insane. So, I mean, think of that kind of stuff is happening so much easier because the dimensional lines are so much easier to traverse now. I mean, that isn't something we even A, knew about,
Yeah.
much as B, were open to and aware to feel, you know? I
Yeah.
mean, that wasn't even a thing. So, how exciting to be able to talk to the souls of your babies, right?
That's amazing. It's amazing. But okay, so thinking back, when your granddaughter that came in and you did a lot of work with that, which you
Mhm.
posted a whole thing on that people can
Mhm.
go watch. Um, it seems like babies are coming in differently now, like you were talking about before, like the timing,
Yes.
looking at the like the stars in the sky and the planets and where everything's going. Um, the work that you did for her, I wonder if that opened up more of that, like you're seeing some of these things differently because of the work that you were doing before. Like it just opened up a whole new realm of this
Yeah.
is what's going on around babies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and every time I get something and I get educated on something and I learn something like colliding time and et cetera, I think then more things pop up for me as well as
Mhm.
more things pop out. It's kind of micro macro for sure.
Yeah.
But I think what's really cool is we're realizing that the choice of the soul is very specific. And this is why again we want to do our best to go full term if and when we can. But trust also that if the baby is coming earlier, it's maybe supposed to, because who's to say our dates are ever right, right?
Right.
I
Right.
mean, that's silly too. But if the baby isn't coming in, there might be a reason they're not, they came earlier, they're not coming out. I'm 4 days over, I'm a week over, that kind of thing. So I do my best to work with clients to just trust the process and trust the body. But one of the things I want to point out to even people that maybe aren't pregnant and want to be or have lost one and don't know how to move forward, talk to the soul level. Talk to the soul level. If you're the one that wants to get pregnant and you're not having success, call it in. If
Mhm.
you're the one that miscarried or lost a baby, God forbid, realize that those are soul contracts and renegotiate. These are all things that we have a capacity to do if we would just think outside the box
Mhm.
and really work this way. Of course, you're going to have sex to be able to,
Mhm.
co-create the sperm and the egg situation for the incubator of it. But that isn't even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the essence that's going to choose to drop in. That's a negotiation from the higher selves. So make that a part of the process and bring in your partner in that process if you choose, which I think is really cool. When they do, it makes it even more special to really do the meditating or the praying or whatever label you want to put on that, to call in the babies that are correct for you in the construct of your life and your family, etc. So this is something we can all do. And we never did that either. I mean,
And
that
you're
was,
talking about connect with your soul in that. Like you're not like searching for the baby soul out there necessarily. You're just like connect with your soul
well, I think it's
to
both,
call
Kim,
it
because
in.
yeah, I think it's both. I mean, I literally have people in my office. I had a couple in here the other day that I'm like, no, both of you get to right here pray together and do the work on the table when we do it to call in your kid because they were trying to have a kid. And so it's like, no, down here is already connected to my higher self. I
Mhm.
have a personality construct of my soul that wants that baby as well. So I have every right to invoke that. I have every right to call that in. Now, does it come in when I want it? Not necessarily. That's when it goes up to my higher self and over.
Okay.
So we have to remember the personality gets in the way, the ego gets in the way. But no, you have the right to invoke just as much because you're the reflection or the fractal of your higher self. So yeah, these are cool ways to look at it. And I think it gives us more patience, it gives us more understanding. If I do have trouble, if I have lost one, if something does happen, if I can't get pregnant, there's divine timing in everything, you know? there's divine timing, and I've got YouTube information on the death and dying part too about losing babies or whatever, and so does my books. But those are all contracted, and those are really hard for people to understand. That's contracted for divine timing. And so when we allow ourselves to step back from all that fear frequency, we can open up to that love frequency and align things differently. So these are all parts of the process.
Mhm. No, that makes total sense.
Same thing with the pukey part, the pukey process part, the lots of
Yeah.
P's there, the pukey process part, enjoy the concept of this is my socially acceptable reason for me to not go out and do something. This is my socially acceptable reason for these couple weeks for me to say no. This is my socially acceptable reason. Not that we need the socially acceptable reason. That's what you might want to look at. Why do I need a socially acceptable one? Because I'm also co-creating the puke. So there's a lot of things to look at during these time periods, and I think it just really expands the experience.
Oh, for sure. Gosh, because there's so much to think about. And it's the hard thing to say to somebody who's in their first trimester is don't worry, the other two trimesters out because it's all going to come together. You just
Yeah,
don't get your head so far out there that you're not,
yeah,
in this moment enjoying what's happening and connecting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
It's a lot. Take care of yourself is my concept. No matter what,
exactly
pregnant or not, take care of yourself first, right?
right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Anyway, kind of makes you want to get pregnant again, doesn't it, Kim?
No,
Yeah,
no.
me either. I can enjoy the grandma level. Thank you very much. Oh, that's great. Well, hopefully this helps anybody that is struggling. Hang in there. Like she said, it'll all be great. There is divine timing in everything. So maybe hit the share button or the like button or the subscribe button would be really cool too. And share with your friends. And so on behalf of Kim and I, until next time, Cosmic Hugs.
Goodbye.